Wow, look at that color. Actually, it's, you know, chaos in the kitchen, so yeah, it is normal. Prickly pears have a very fine, little spiny surface. And you have to, if you're not used to handling them and getting those little prickles in your fingers, you want to wear gloves and rinse them and rub them to get those tiny little spines off. The tiny little fine prickly pieces, which I assume hence the name prickly pear. All right, so I've just rinsed all of the fruit and rubbed it with my gloves to remove all of those little tiny fine prickly hairs that are on the fruit. I never knew anything about cactus other than they grow in the desert and they hold moisture. Other than that, I had no idea if they had any use, if they were of any good to anybody. But, you know, if God put them on the earth, then apparently they do have a purpose. Well, it turns out they do have purpose and they do have uses. And we are about to find out just exactly how good it is. You see descriptions of what it tastes like and that kind of thing. And supposedly they, you know, have a lot of vitamins and minerals, antioxidants, great for blood sugar level, you know, reducing blood sugar levels, things of that nature. To the point, honestly, that they warn you if you're on any type of diabetic medicine to reduce your blood sugar, that you should be very, very careful in eating prickly pear cactus. You cut the fruit. Ooh, that's pretty. Wow, very deep. And one thing that I think I might better do, because I've never dealt with this before, but in order to save my kitchen countertop from getting possibly stained, is I am going to put down a layer of wax paper under that. There we go. Also, I was told, and I am seeing now, that they do have a lot of seeds. And it's my understanding that those seeds are very hard, that it will not hurt you if you eat them or ingest them, but that if you bite down and find one, that it is not pleasant necessarily, because they are very hard. All right. You take a spoon and you scoop out the fruit. Honestly, that whole center section really is nothing but the seeds and stuff. Well, they do go all the way back. So I am going to go ahead and scoop out the entire thing into one bowl. There for a moment, I had an idea that maybe I would just scoop out that center section that had all the seeds in it and strain it separately to get the seeds out. But as I am noticing, it really doesn't matter. You're going to have to strain the whole thing anyway. I did look up online, of course, you know, what all you can do with the fruit, what all you can make with it, and it seems that jams and jellies and preserves and syrups, a couple of drinks, or juices kind of seem to be the mainstream that everybody's doing. If this is a fruit, basically like other fruits, why not? Why can you not make prickly pear bread? So, that is what I am going to attempt. And hopefully it'll turn out pretty well. It's a beautiful fruit, very deep color. The aroma is not very strong. It's not very sweet. I mean, it's not offensive anyway, but so it actually ought to make for a, I think probably a pretty good bread. I think the color of the bread is going to be interesting when it's done. Be kind of like red velvet cake, I imagine. But we'll all find out together. And there you have prickly pear fruit. Note for future. It apparently does stain things slightly. You might want to use gloves. All right, these are the cactus pads. I'm not ready to do anything with those just yet. I will be doing something with them. Again, I've seen several recipes, but I'm probably going to try something a little different with it anyway, just because that's how I am. But for right now, they're getting moved. All right, so one of the ways that I choose which spices or flavors or whatever that I want to use in something is smells. Of course, that's, you know, a lot of our tasting is by our smell. So I'm going to smell these real quick and get another idea of which kind of spice I want to put in it. Okay, let's see. Okay, so what we are going to do now is try to remove the seeds from the fruit. So I'm just going to start with a piece or two until I see exactly how this works. And I chose using a ladle because I'm a creature of, you know, get it done fast, and I don't have a mortar and pestle to really squish through it. So I figure if I just use the edge of this, that I can squeeze through. Wow, those seeds are really hard. Oh my gosh. I mean, all the stuff with all the literature that I read and everything said that the seeds were very hard, but I wasn't expecting that. Those are like BBs. That is interesting. And this may not be the best method, because what I'm seeing at the moment is that the fruit itself, the pulp, doesn't really break down necessarily to go through the screen itself. It's just the juice is running out. Yeah, they are very much like very hard BBs. So I would imagine whatever you are cooking with these, even though it is said that they won't hurt you and that you can eat them, I don't suggest it, because if you do bite down on one of these, you are likely to crack a tooth, honestly. Okay, so that's doing a little bit better. When I hold it up and just kind of rake it over, that's actually getting some of that pulp through the screening. So I'm just going to work on this for a while, and I'll see you back again when I get done. We've abandoned the little strainer method here, and we're going to try blending it and then straining it through that way, so that we can retain the pulp as much as possible. All right, so we put our lid on good, and here we go. Now, I don't want to go entirely too long, and I may have gone a little too long because I don't know exactly how hard they are. They said they feel like BBs. They're very, very hard, but if the blender were to chop them up, well, there we go. If the blender were to chop them up and they get in the bread, that's probably not going to be a good thing. So now let's pour it through the strainer and see. Now that it is, oh yeah, that's a lot better. Wow. So really it is more just liquid than an actual pulp or meat. At least when you do what we just did to it, and what that basically is liquefy it. So knowing that, I'm not exactly sure how this bread may turn out. What I may do is modify the recipe that I'm using just a little bit to try and offset the extra moisture. Then again, who doesn't love a moist bread? Preset our oven to 325. Oops, hello, wrong way. 325. A lot of times I'll also get a paper towel, put a little bit of oil on the paper towel, rub that in there instead of getting it all over your hands. Put your flour in and then just, you know, pat it around over your garbage can. And then you have your pan. It's ready to go. I am one who does love to do things quick and easy. So this is an easy recipe where basically you dump everything in the bowl, just stir it enough to blend everything. You don't over stir it. You pour it in your dish and bake it. So 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. We have a cup of sugar, 1 egg, melted butter, it's 1/4 cup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of what I like to use is pumpkin pie spice. It's just apple pie spice, pumpkin pie spice, and then of course if you like to play around with your own, you know, blend of cinnamon and nutmeg and clover and things of that nature, you are welcome to do that. But I just simplify and use some pumpkin pie spice. It's a little stronger than apple pie spice, and my family really enjoys that, so that's why I use that. This is a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, baking soda. And that's really all the ingredients that go in, along with your prickly pear, I don't even know what to call that, puree, prickly pear puree. So I'm just going to begin adding. So we're going to add our flour, our sugar, our butter. You know, you just about call this a dump cake or dump bread because you just dump everything in the bowl. Then again, calling something a dump whatever doesn't sound very appealing or appetizing. Our egg. And our spices and baking soda. And like I said, you do not want to over stir it or overwork it. You just want it all blended together. Wow, look at that color. That is an incredible color. All right, so that looks pretty well blended to me. So now, we pour it into our loaf pan. One thing's for sure, I love this color, and I'm pretty sure my daughter is going to love the color. It will be very interesting to see when it's done what the color turns out to be after it's cooked. So with our oven set to 325, we're going to put it in the oven and bake for 1 hour. This loaf of bread is done. And it looks fantastic. I thought it was going to be way more purple, way more, you know, pinky purple color, because when we first put it in, my daughter came down and took a look at it, and when we opened the oven, very gently of course, it was completely purple, a deep dark purple. I almost wish we had gotten a shot of that. Maybe next time. But for right now, we're going to let it cool, and then we're going to slice it and have some. Oh my goodness, look at that. That's beautiful. I'm going to spread a little bit of butter. Do I get the first bite? That is really good. That is really good. I do agree with another person that said it was hard to describe the flavor. In all honesty, this really does taste like a banana bread or a maybe like a applesauce bread, because the flavor is so muted. The prickly pear flavor doesn't really pop through or anything, but it is a very good bread. It's not overly sweet. Wonderful spice bread. So, just to sum up, this is prickly pear cactus fruit bread. 1.5 cups of flour, 1 cup of sugar, 1 egg, 1/4 cup of melted butter, teaspoon of salt, teaspoon of whatever pie spice or cinnamon or whatever you want to use, a teaspoon of baking soda, and mix it all up and bake it at 325 for 1 hour. So if you like what you've seen, if you don't mind, go ahead and like, subscribe, share us with your friends, comment anything that you can contribute that may help improve, or any other ideas that you might have. And we look forward to sharing more with you later.